All right, 24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this morning. If you have ever heard anybody talk about PTSD and you never knew what it was, you could only imagine, because if you don't have it and don't know somebody with it, you really don't know. The same thing is true with a lot of things. Obsessive compulsive disorder is one, and that's the topic that we're going to focus on right now. The first time I heard about this, I thought about things that I was like obsessive about. For example, looking at the clock and making sure that I'm doing the radio show and I'm telling you the right time, although I've got that wrong. Or being obsessed with the current temperature, things like that. And that is not even close to what obsessive compulsive disorder is about. Not that I really know, but we've done so many interviews with people over the years. Nobody has even come close to really personifying it more than our next guest. She has written a book called Leaving the OCD Circus. See there, right? Leaving the OCD Circus. The big ticket out of having to control every little thing. The info that I have, this is written by Kirsten Pagacz, by the way. It says the quote, "It's like the meanest, wildest monkey running around my head, constantly looking for ways to bite me." That was how Kirsten Pagacz described her OCD to her therapist on her first session when she was well into her 30s. What I found interesting just from that alone was that she recognized it. Because the way I understand it, people don't always recognize that they even have an obsessive compulsive disorder, right?
Exactly.
Kirsten, in addition to being an author, she's the founder of something called Retro Agogo.
I love that name.
I know. I can't wait to find out about that. It says she suffered from obsessive compulsive disorder for 2 decades before it had a name and a cure.
Yeah.
The good news is there's a cure, isn't it? Kirsten Pagacz. Good morning, Kirsten.
Hey, good morning, Larry, and good morning, Robin, and good morning, Florida.
Where are you calling from?
I am calling right outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so first of all, did I get anything wrong in the intro?
Oh, my gosh. Well, it was a lovely intro. Thank you for all your kind words about the book. And the only thing is it's Kirsten, like ear, but other than that, you did everything A-OK.
Okay. I have to get there. See, now this is another thing I'm obsessed with too, and I got it wrong without even thinking I got it wrong. Sometimes I know I get it wrong. It's like when you put the plug in the outlet. There are 2 ways it'll fit. I always get it wrong the first time.
Oh, I bet that's not true.
Well, all right. Most times. So tell me about the battle you had with this, and was this something when the light finally went on that you needed to get help? Did you remember have OCD even before I had a name when you were a child? Did you have this when you were a child?
Oh, my gosh, yes. And if I could back up a little bit just to speak directly to you and Robin and your listeners, that OCD is not a preference, like you like to do things accurate or you like cleanliness or you like organization. That is very healthy to like those things. It's when you're unable to have anything else and you have to have things a certain way, and you're unable to operate unless things are complying with your illness. Then we're talking about a much different story. And my OCD came to me when I was 9 years old. I had it undiagnosed until I was 32. I spent a lot of time at libraries trying to read about something that was even similar to what I was experiencing. And at the time, OCD was not in the common vernacular. The first time that I ever heard those letters strung together, I was 32 years old, and I had no idea what was going on with me, but I knew something was very serious.
Can you give us an example of how this played out in your life? What were the voices telling you to do?
Well, with that, I'd like to start by saying that I'm a checker and I'm a perfectionist. And that's just one of the many ways that OCD can manifest itself. And those happen to be my particular attributes. But I hope people listening know that it goes way out and beyond being a checker or being a perfectionist, that it wears many, many, many different hats. And for me, having order and doing things perfectly became no longer an option. It became the way I had to do things. So I basically complied to my illness until I got things quote unquote right. I would get a little break, and then my OCD would be right back in,
Really?
driving me to do the next thing.
See, everything you're saying just tells me I don't know anything about this at all. All right, so how did it affect your life? What kind of, did it cause problems? Did relationships end because of this?
Well, when it came into my life when I was quite young, it actually appeared to be kind of a friend and a distraction. I had a very chaotic, troubled childhood, and OCD offered some relief from my actual experiences. So counting to a certain number gave relief. Tapping a certain way gave relief. But what happened is once OCD had its foot in the door, it took over until I was 32, found myself having a complete mental collapse and having no normal space left. So it was from one obsession to the next compulsion, just one after the other, like a metronome that just kind of pounds on you until you can't take it anymore.
Is telling people what to do, can that be labeled as obsessive compulsive? Because, some people, they'll see things and they'll just start giving suggestions to other people.
Oh my gosh!
Like
giving suggestions
within the family,
is just a way. Well, giving suggestions of how to do things can be very corrective and very directive and healthy, like a parent explaining to their child how to zip their jacket. We help each other out in this world, and hopefully we teach each other how to do things and manage. With OCD, it's not teaching, and you're not just trying to make things a little bit better. You're having to do things a certain way, and there's absolutely no room to do things any way other than the way the OCD demands. And in regular life, you have a range, like, hey, I'd like my room to be clean, but if it's not 100%, then, hey, I'm doing pretty good. For an OCD person, it's black and white. It's 100% compliance or else. And usually the or else is tied to some kind of catastrophic outcome, and you're doing these crazy
really?
things to not have these things happen.
But who would deliver the or else? I mean, who delivers the punishment? Yourself?
Well, the OCD delivers the reward and the punishment. So at first, tapping, there's a rewarding feeling because I was going to do it right if I did it 40 times, and guess what I did? And gee, it feels kind of good to hit the mark. The problem, though, with OCD is that there's always the next thing and the next thing and the next elusive bullseye that you have to hit.
Really? Does OCD apply to the person, for example, who insists on always stepping off the curb with their right foot?
Oh, good question.
I think that there's little things that we do with ourselves, like some people might prefer to wear their hair a certain way over wearing it a different way. It's a lot of times very repetitive, so it's not just I'm going to step off the curb with my right foot, it's that I have to do it like this, and it really becomes a world of have-tos, that it's not an option or a preference.
So,
you have to do things a certain way.
Okay, so just so I understand, so when you say if I don't do it, something catastrophic is going to happen, that's all in your head. In other words, if I don't comb my hair this way, my father's going to die. If I don't step off the curb, my dog's going to get hit by a car or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Even though it never happens, it's you telling yourself that without any real logic behind the consequences.
Well, I think it's very important to know and to understand that OCD is very much an authoritative figure that you buy into. And even though to somebody else it might sound loony to have to wash the dishes again, or there's people that'll take all their dishes out of the cabinets and wash them all over again. And if you don't do this, then the OCD clobbers you that much more. So you buy into, I'm the victim, and OCD is the abuser, and that's the relationship, and that is the way in which you are conducting your life, unfortunately.
And some people might think this topic is a downer, but it's not. You've really made stories in your book very humorous, so people will see themselves.
Thanks. You know, in the idea of the book, yes, it's part memoir, so I do share my story and the darkness and all the way up until the psychological breakdown that I had. But it's also a book about hope and about getting to a better place and about me helping people to get to their big happy life much, much sooner than I ever got to mine.
And you express that through your art as well.
Oh, yes. One of the things when I was suffering so much, I'm such a sensitive person that I really felt my imperfections quite literally. And if I was at an antique store and I saw, like a vintage postcard of someone that looks like they're under unbearable stress, I might have purchased that. So over the many years of having this illness, I did quite a gathering of things that spoke to me on a very deep and personal level, and I share those with my readers.
Does the book help you identify whether you do or do not have OCD?
I think it absolutely does, and I also think that the book, beyond just speaking directly to the sufferer, it extends way beyond that and speaks to the person that loves the sufferer and may be trying to understand them better.
In your life's work, you worked in you worked as a marketer for Forbes 500 companies. You must have seen throughout that phase of your life a lot of people that might have had OCD. Do you think that was attributed to the jobs that they had, the high stress jobs?
OCD and anxiety disorders in general can come from a complex set of circumstances, including genetics, your brain chemistry, personality, life events. Basically, anxiety is the most common mental illness in the U.S., and frequently corporate jobs are going to elevate anxiety, but that doesn't necessarily mean that elevated anxiety is going to lead to OCD. And in my case, that extremely high-pressure environment did ratchet up my private hell world, which I refer to as OCD.
Gosh.
Our guest is Kirsten Pagacz, and her book is called Leaving the OCD Circus. And I'm guessing if you're listening and you're recognizing some of these descriptions of OCD, then maybe you can be helped by this. That's the good news with this story. I do have somebody on hold. If you want to take a call, Kirsten, is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love the opportunity.
Good morning. Thank you for calling and for waiting. You're on the air with Kirsten Pagacz.
Yes, thanks for taking my call. I'd like to know if there's a connection between OCD and claustrophobia.
Absolutely. OCD links itself to a variety of different things, and phobias definitely ties into OCD and the anxiety umbrella. And OCD manifests itself in very many different ways.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call.
Gosh.
You know what? I know we have a break we have to take, but real quickly, is there ever a circumstance where OCD might actually be helpful? And I'm going to give an extreme example, but obviously this doesn't apply to most people. But if you were like a prisoner of war and you were like being isolated and gosh, you didn't know if your life was going to end at any minute, could you actually use OCD as an escape?
OCD is definitely an escape mechanism. The problem, though, is that you're not just trying to escape the bad moments or the pain in your life. You're also being taken away from all the joy and happy and normal moments of your life. OCD is truly a robber, and it takes things away. It takes things that are for everybody, such as joy and beauty and love. It takes those things away and replaces itself with these mental hiccups of the back and forth looping of OCD. So it's really a robber. So sure, it helped me as a child to circumvent some of the stress I was under, but it really is a robber and took me away from the very basic joyful moments of life. Those became unavailable to me 100%.
We have to take a little break, and we will be right back. Kirsten Pagacz is our guest. Her book is called Leaving the OCD Circus. We'll find out what websites to go to get the book when we come back. This is The Source, WOCA Ocala.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Monday, times of clouds and sun with a shower and thunderstorm in the area at any time, high 84 to 88. Monday night will be mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm, low 71 to 75. Tuesday, times of clouds and sun with a shower and thunderstorm likely, high 83 to 87. And Wednesday, mostly cloudy and breezy with some showers and a thunderstorm, high 83 to 87. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Looking to put your money to work? Florida Credit Union has a CD special, 25 months for 1.41% APY with a $10,000 minimum. Federally insured by the NCUA, a government agency. These rates effective through October 15th. Subject to change at any time. Visit one of Florida Credit Union's convenient locations today or their website, flcu.org, or call 352-237-8222. Don't miss this 25-month CD special. Again, the APY is 1.41%. Act now.
Until you go into Automax, Marion County's #1 pre-owned dealer for over 15 years, and see their upfront pricing and how Automax puts their low outlet price, along with the Carfax and complete vehicle information on the window of every single vehicle. Then, and only then, can you take advantage of great finance offers, like rates from 2% with 0 down, and no payments for 90 days with loan approval. View all these great prices and vehicles on the corner of 17th and Easy Street. Automax, quality cars, outlet prices.
Did you know nearly 70% of the people in Ocala want cremation, yet it is amazing how many misconceptions there are. It is probably because we just do not want to talk about it. Often, people think cremation limits their options for burial. Some think that cremated remains cannot be buried. In reality, it is just the opposite. At Highland Memorial Park, they want to give you all the answers to any questions you have now so that you are prepared. Highland has become expert at creating beautiful and unique cremation gardens. They offer everything from simple in-ground urn burial to our air-conditioned Celebration of Life room with its beautiful glass front niches. With the money you save with cremation, you can find a unique spot at Highland that you would never find anywhere else. Call today and see if cremation is right for you. Call 352-369-1020. 352-369-1020. When you set an appointment and both husband and wife tour Highland, they will give you a gift certificate to the Brooklyn Backyard Restaurant. Call Highland 352-369-1020.
Yeah, I'm that drip coming down from the corner of the room. But where did I come from? I'll never tell.
Bone Dry Roofing can and will fix it right the first time using quality materials and will deal honestly and fairly with you, period. You can find Bone Dry Roofing on their website, bonedryroofingllc.com, and Facebook at Bone Dry Roofing LLC. Do it right before your roof needs a tarp to keep the elements out. Bone Dry Roofing stands behind their work to help make your home safe and secure, plus they have financing available. Remember, if you're not bone dry, then you're all wet.
All right, 5 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. You know, we do music, and the one thing we always say is that if you don't practice for one day, you'll notice in your next performance. If you don't practice for 2 days, your audience will notice in your next performance. And so that daily ritual of practicing almost seems like a compulsion and an obsession. Obviously, what we're learning from Kirsten does not apply to that. I don't think she would disagree, but maybe I'm wrong. Kirsten Pagacz has written this book called Leaving the OCD Circus. Kirsten, so you're cured of this. Well, how were you cured?
Well, cured is an interesting word. I think that I have done a tremendous amount of learning. I've worked with very educated professionals about the topic. I've read many, many books. So I have an arsenal of knowledge and things that I can refer to manage my daily life. But just like you were speaking of, Larry, about practice, I practice things that are helpful to me in getting to a much better place than under the confines of my OCD. So I practice mindfulness. I practice meditation. I practice being in the moment so I don't doubt myself. So it's a daily practice. And just like someone that is diabetic, they practice eating healthy and they practice checking their insulin. And there's things that you do to manage yourself, whether you have OCD or not. But in my book, I teach different ways to get some tips and get some techniques so you can get yourself out of the darkness into a much happier, brighter life.
And you talk about exposure therapy.
Yes. Exposure
what
therapy. Well, exposure therapy, it sounds very counterintuitive because, and I do recommend, doing exposure therapy under the guidance of working with a doctor or a professional, because the whole idea, Robin, is desensitization. And what you want to do is expose yourself to the things that have you unhinged. And the more you expose yourself, for instance, if you lived in an apartment and you had a train that was nearby, the more you hear the train over and over again, the more you get exposed to it, the more desensitized you get. And so you might not even hear the train at one point. So it's not what you want to do. You don't want to dive in and, face all the things that get you derailed. OCD's purpose is to make you compliant, to do things specifically and correctly right. And when you say, hey, OCD, not today, I'm just going to take the stress and take the unnerving so I can get to a better place, it's really daily practice that allows you to make healthy choices one by one.
Really? Can you recognize it in somebody else?
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's kind of fascinating because I have such a kindredship. Whether people are checkers or not, I can see people. For instance, I remember going into a grocery store, and this lady was having to do all of the soup can labels face out in just a particular way. And I knew that she was under the guise of her OCD demanding her to do it a very specific way. And even though it might look strange to other people, she's so compelled to make it right to stop whatever imagined catastrophe is attached to it.
Oh my goodness! Wow! I would. I mean, in any grocery store that always puts the labels facing out.
Yes, and she just made it her job to make sure that they were, which clearly isn't her job. Her job was to do her grocery shopping.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is crazy.
No, so sad.
So crazy, probably a poor choice of words right there, by the way. Once again, we are shown that whatever we think something is, we don't even know. We don't even know that. We don't even scratch the surface of what we think we know. I have a copy of the book. I'd like to give it away. If you want the copy that was sent to me, just call us. We'll be glad to leave it for you. The rest of us have to go buy it. And Kirsten's last name is important because I think that's your website, right? You're Kirsten with your last name?
Actually, the website that's easier to get to is leavingtheocdcircus.com. And Larry, in closing, if I could say one more thing, it has to do with what you had just mentioned.
Okay.
You had said the word crazy, and I want all the listeners to know that if they are suffering from OCD, they are not crazy, and they are suffering from a real medical condition. And the words that I heard from my therapist so many years ago is, it's not your fault. So you may feel like you're crazy, but there's life outside of OCD, and there is great hope, and you can get onto the joy that's there for you.
Thank you for saying that, and thank you for being our guest. You have taught us so much in just 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving the OCD Circus, I just went to leavingtheocdcircus.com. You can see it for yourself right there. Good luck with the book, and please come back anytime. That was a fascinating conversation. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Hurricane Matthew, with 130-mile-per-hour winds, continues to swirl in the Caribbean.
We have hurricane warnings for Jamaica, Haiti, and eastern Cuba, and the southeastern Bahamas, and we anticipate Matthew will continue to move northward.
The National Hurricane Center's Richard Pash says it's too soon to tell if Matthew will threaten Florida or the Carolinas. A second night of protest in Los Angeles over the fatal police shooting of black teen Carnell Snell Jr. after a car chase.
His friends and family are calling for a quick, transparent investigation.
No mother wants to see her child gunned down in the street like that.
Police say a gun was found at the scene, but it's not clear if Snell was carrying it.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Reality TV star Kim Kardashian West said to be shaken but okay. Armed robbers in Paris forced their way into a private residence, tied up Kardashian, locked her in a bathroom, and made off with $10 million in jewelry. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Napa Know-How.
The Napa Know-How 99-cent reusable bag is like any old bag. It has handles, it stores stuff. But if you put stuff your car needs from Napa into an ordinary bag, you won't get 20% off. You can only get 20% off in a Napa reusable bag. Now just 99 cents. Check and mate ordinary bags. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Minimum 3 items. Some restrictions apply. Offer expires 10/31/16.
Hey everyone!
This is Life Tips with Geico.
Life Tip 1. You can use a razor to shave those little lint balls off your sweatshirt or jacket.
Speaking of jackets, try wearing yours backwards. You could use the hood as a convenient snack trough.
Life Tip 2. Switch to Geico and you could save hundreds on your car insurance. On top of that, the Geico Insurance Agency could help save you money on home and renter's insurance. Geico. Get savings into your life. Visit geico.com today.
Today in Florida Ag News, I'm a Southeast AgNet. Well, new technology continues to be seen in various ways in agriculture, and that includes for specialty crop growers. Produce Marketing Association CEO Brian Silberman looks at how technology will continue to impact the produce industry.
Well, it's certainly going to change the way in which we use resources. We're going to get much better at the use of water, more productive in the use of land. You're going to see more mechanization of labor because, A, there isn't enough of it to pick fruit and vegetables in this country anymore. So you're seeing technology in terms of new seed varieties that grow vegetables that are more conducive to mechanical harvesting. That's the kind of example of how this intersection of new technology, lack of labor, need to use fewer resources is really going to intersect to create a very different growing environment in the years to come.
To hear more of his comments, go to our website, southeastagnet.com.
Hi, I'm Adam Putnam, Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture. Floridians are all too often targets for scams and fraud of all types, including Medicare, charity, and travel scams. That's why the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services has made it a priority to protect Florida consumers from scams, fraud, and deception. To learn more about scams and fraud that target Floridians and find the resources available to help you avoid them, visit www.freshfromflorida.com or call 1-800-HELP-FLA today.
Whether at your local green market, corner grocery store, or neighborhood restaurant, you're supporting your community when you buy local.
Food grown right here by Florida farmers doesn't need to be shipped as far.
That saves fuel and cuts emissions.
Buying local is more than just supporting area businesses and growers.
It's buying fresh, wholesome, and delicious food for your family.
Products you trust from people you trust.
Fresh from Florida.
Good for the environment.
Good for the economy.
Good for you.
Randall Wiseman, Southeast AgNet.
Gene Powell pasture mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell pasture mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell pasture mowing.
The Frank Sinatra Tribute Concert, Seriously Frank, is live on stage October 6th through 9th at the Ocala Civic Theater. Vocalist Michael Matthews pays tribute to Frank Sinatra, Come Fly With Me, The Way You Look Tonight, New York, New York,
Start spreading the
and many more. Tickets are $25 for adults, $23 for Signature Series subscribers, and $12 for full-time students. Call 352-236-2274 or go to OcalaCivicTheater.com for more information.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.